So I'm going to get into it in just a moment. If I goes right now, right. Coach Home for You Fit Studio. A lot of people, this is interesting. It's always been like this, regardless of the climate. I think for the majority, quite a large majority of people, health is almost like a luxury, or it's a luxury item to some degree, because most people, in all fairness, that I come across, prior to being a client and prior to being a coach, would always like to think that they can lose weight, get healthier, etc., without outlaying too much of an investment. Now, when I say investment, I'm not just talking about money, although that is an investment. It's also about time. A lot of people will want to get it done fast, quick, on the cheap, right? They want to find the way to cut corners to get to where they want to get to. And so often they see a health or even having a coaching system like us as a luxury item. And it's a really interesting question. I've had this a lot with people, because it's actually, when it comes to the monetary side of it, it's actually a good question to ask is there a price to put on being healthy? Is there a figure or a monetary amount where you go, that's what I'm prepared to pay, and that is not what I'm prepared to pay? Because actually, either I don't think that my health is as much value, right, being honest, at this point. That might change during life, to be fair, and health changes, age changes, etc. Often we see the value of that change a little bit for people. But as it stands, I think right now, if you're on the fence about whether or not it's time to start doing something, it often comes down to investment of money, right, or time. But it's interesting to think about what actually is seen as expensive when it comes to having a you can call us a coach or a personal trainer. What is seen as being expensive? Is it the service is always doing it long term, or even doing one of our challenges? Is that really expensive? Because part of the challenge I usually say to people outside of here, or even to some existing clients as well, is that if you're on the fence about whether or not you invest money into your health as it stands right now, the question you've got to ask yourself is, what are you spending your money on right now? What is your hard-earned cash going on right now? Okay, is it going on alcohol soon when you're going out, or alcohol at home, to be fair? Is it going on cigarettes? Is it going on other, this is always funny, other gyms that you've not been going to? Like, even if you have, like, what other stuff you've been doing online that you haven't been using? Or other memberships that you kind of bought intermittently, never went to over October and December? Because when you start to get down into it, and you add up all that money together, even if we think about before this year and say, right, if we put together all the money you've wasted on, all the money you have previously invested, shall we say, invested in either food plans or other exercise programs that haven't been successful, because obviously you're still buying stuff then they haven't been successful. If you add that all together and start to calculate it, what does that really look like? What does that really add up to? Where does that line start and end between that is too expensive, this is expensive, this is cheap? What's the price to put on having a better health, a better being able to move better, be able to do daily life better? Is there a price to put on that? We'll say, actually, this is it, this is my bottom line, this is where I draw the line at cost, and this is where I'm going to put it. Because I generally don't think there is a price. However, you've got to see the value, right? So value and investment are two different things. You've got to see value come back for your investment. And that's where I think a lot of our clients tend to sit on that, right? So also you've got to think of it, the value, and I've talked about this before a little bit in other lives. You've got to look at, okay, if I'm investing a lot of money now, how does it stack up against the cost I'll have to pay out later if I'm not in shape? And I've mentioned the term health tax, right? You never pay health tax in the moment. We pay health tax later down the line, when we are more unhealthy, when we are more unfit, when we are more overweight, right? That's when we pay the tax. But actually what we don't do, and this I suppose also is also like, I guess in different ways, is also like investing time. Investing money, investing time now will save you having to pay more time and more tax on your health later on. The thing is, for me, health investment isn't a luxury item. It's not a luxury item. It doesn't have a price on it. Because if you speak to somebody or any of our clients that's over the age of, I don't know, 45, 50, still has a lot of energy, can still run around with the grandkids, can still do all the things that they didn't think they could. Some clients said they couldn't even do it at 30, right? If you are able to do that, if you're able to, is there a price to say, that's what I'm willing to pay to have that? I'm willing to pay 30 quid a month, 50 quid a month, 80, 90 quid a month, £100 a month. I'm willing to pay £100 a month now to be able to have a better body than I have right now when I'm 20 years older. Is that a fair investment? And this is where it comes down to. I was pretty saying. At this moment in time, I absolutely realise and know now I would give anything to stay on top of my health. Yes. Yes, and sometimes, and actually I was writing an article, not just a couple of hours ago, which is actually tied in with this, about how we always realised too late where the investment needed to happen. Where you can always look back at a certain point, and it's, even on a minor scale, not minor, but on a less dramatic scale, should we say, there's always a moment, right, when you stop fitting into clothes. When you try someone doesn't fit anymore. That's always a point when someone goes, oh, I should have done a little bit more, a little bit earlier. Should have put a little bit more a little bit earlier. When someone is in physical pain and unable to move because they're so ill. When we have this a lot, when a health professional has told you that actually you are in a critical condition and you need to make big decisions about your life. That sounds dramatic, and yet it's something that we deal with on a regular basis, because at that point someone is willing to invest, right? If I can guarantee now, if you're sat there across from a doctor and they're saying to you, you have to make some life decisions and you have to act now or your life will fundamentally change in the next couple of months, I can tell you now there is no price that you wouldn't pay at that point to invest in your health and make a difference. The thing is, we're so reluctant to do that while the going's good, right? We're reluctant to do it while we're in good health now. We're reluctant to do it while we feel good, clothes are a little bit tight, but we can get into them, right? We can do it when there's symptoms. This is what I find a fascinating thing about human nature as well. I can speak to a potential client who has all the symptoms of very poor health, isn't old, I think someone in particular, if someone say the name, I would say, we'll call him Alan. He wasn't called Alan. Alan is 2 years younger than me, has a blood pressure rate of someone, 20 years older than him, is overweight, is on the edge of diabetes type 2, is very inactive, has low self-confidence, has relatives that have critical health from the same issues. He is the last in his family not to be on medication, and he's going to be on it in the next couple of months. They are all signs of somebody who has seen that coming for a very long time, still sees the result from lack of action coming, and yet still doesn't invest, still doesn't pick up the option to invest in their health and do something about it. Why? Interesting, right? I don't have the answers on this life, by this. It's just one to ponder about. And that client will come back to us. I know that. I know that client will come back, because there will be a point at which Alan will be told that it is now critical, and he won't be much older than he was last year. Year before, right? So 2019. At which point, because he's 2 years on me, maybe 40, 41. That's quite young to be dealing with those kind of symptoms, and yet those are the kind of symptoms that a lot of people, even you might know people or relatives, who will shoulder the burden of poor health because they're not either in the mindset or the space to invest in looking after themselves. And if, like, I'm sure Pretty found this, and it might be that you have worked with this before, and you might want to say to these people, please, you know, come and try YouFit. It's so brilliant. It will change your life. You will never regret it. You will be healthier. You will live longer. You'll feel better. And yet they don't do it, right? There's loads of reasons why. A lot of it comes down to, at the bottom line, if you see in the same way that other people see health as an investment, or as something that has to be dealt with at a critical stage. What's also interesting to consider is that we will, and I say this a lot, I do say this with some clients, sometimes when they're on the edge as well, so we will invest in a car, we'll invest in a house, we'll invest in a really big TV. We won't invest in our health for the future. And yet, will we be enjoying the house, the car, enjoying the massive TV, if our health, or your health, is deteriorated and you're unable to enjoy the things that you have invested your money and time into? Those things that don't last. And health doesn't last too, to be fair, if not looked after, invested in. Same way as you look after anything, or invest into making something better. So true is your health. So I guess the message I want to leave you with on this one is that as a member, I'm sure you've probably, like Pretty's experienced, you'll know and experience and gone, all right, there's where I put my money, that's the investment, that's what I get back, right? I get these things back if I actually do the work, invest, give it the time, give it the finance, right? Here's what I get back. Because there's always a payback for an investment. And when it comes to things like working with us, you always get that back. Like we say, we don't want to guarantee anything. However, if you actually follow our advice and put the work in, then yes, you do get payback on that investment. Absolutely, as you would in anything you invest into, if you know what you're investing into, right? So the main thing I want to leave you with, again, just to repeat, is that health is not a luxury item. It's not something that other people who are uber rich and super rich are, they're the only people to have it. It's for all walks of life, and it's about understanding the value of it now, what it can do for you now, as well as the payoff you get in the future far outweighs the investment you make right now, right? You've just got to make it. So endeth my life. Oh my God, it's Thursday already. Back on Monday. Oh, and do you know what? I've just turned the page and see exactly what it is. Oh, alcohol. I'm putting back, because it's Monday the 12th, and we all know what that means. Nobody will be on the live because they'll be outdoor drinking. I've seen some great memes going around about that in a minute, by the way. However, I will be here on Monday talking about alcohol and the joys of there. Wednesday we'll be skipping the steps, and what happens when you skip the steps. And the Friday next week, which is an interesting one, is also calories and time. Answering all your questions about calories and timings, because I get a load of questions about that. Right. Have a fantastic weekend, whatever you get up to. And any questions or anything, obviously tap me up. Any comments, the same. And I'll catch you later.